Definitely like a hood stock. Let's go for it. Okay, hood. Any specific questions with it, William? Is it like just price action, where it could be headed type stuff? Yeah, let me know how the feedback is. I feel like I have a bit of feedback on my mic and I'm trying to figure out. Maybe because my volume's all the way at the top. That might be better now. That's probably much better. Let me know how the feedback is. I feel like I have a bit of feedback on my mic and I'm trying to figure out. Oh yeah, that's way better. Okay, sweet. If I turn my volume up a little bit now. There we go. Let me see how much there's a delay. They had some stranges, but where it's headed short term. Gotcha. Well, we can look at both of those. Let me figure out my delay. Okay, there's no delay. Interesting. Okay, yeah, let's look at both things. So we could definitely look in that SEC filing, trying to figure out what it's about. Robinhood filings. Let's take a peek at what's. Okay, that's not what I want. One second while I alert the world we're talking about hood real quick. How'd your week go, William? Life and trading? Okay. Let's look at SEC filings. Is it the one from today? Is that the one, William? Okay, didn't want to download that, but whatever. Yeah, that's not what I want. Because I don't have this. Okay. They should let me just look at it. Not what I want. It's not what I want. Looks like they have a bunch of skills is good. Yeah, we'll get to skills next. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, I don't have, it's not letting me open up the document in like a like on the internet. Well, welcome. We'll talk about skills in just a second. We're going to cover Coinbase. So I can't get into that stupid doc. But we'll go ahead and do some technical analysis first. So it seems like on a long term. Yeah, I'll get to skills in just a second, man. No. We will talk about it. We're going to talk about hood first, and then we'll get to skills. So it looks like it's trying to break out of this kind of, I guess you'd call it descending triangle. You know, it's kind of on the verge of breaking out. On the daily, I mean, RSI just kind of been going sideways lately. Let's look where our moving averages are. See if we can find anything significant there. And let me bring it up, because we're going to cover this for a while, Mr. Korean Man. I don't know how to say your name on there, so I'm just going to call you Mr. Korean Man. But I did make a video about skills a couple weeks ago. So while we, see if I can find it for you. while we talk about this, you can watch this YouTube video in the meantime. Here it is. There's the YouTube video. You still there, William? It's saying there's nobody in the chat, so I'm double checking. So yeah, it looks like it's trying to break out. Okay, we don't really have any moving averages here on the daily. Something because it just IPO'd to the moon. So yeah, it looks like we're trying to break out of, welcome to the stream secret person. It looks like it's trying to break out of this, what's been a while, this kind of descending triangle. So RSI wise, we're looking good there. It's just kind of going sideways for now. And so this is what we're going to want to look out here over the next week, because the market kind of, I would say, turned down a little bit into the end of the week. So next week is going to be probably pretty important for Hood. I mean, that's a kind of lame reasoning, but we did kind of have this sideways candle, so it just shows us there's a lot of indecision. So we kind of have like another trend line starting here, and we bounced off it. We started the trend line here, and now we'll see if we can hold it there. So if we're able to break out, Kathy Woods, nice. If we're able to, hold that trend line and break out here, I would say that's a pretty big positive. If we're able to break below this trend line, that's a big move. But then we have the 20-day. We're still below the 20-day, the 20 EMA on the daily. Let me see if where the 20 moving averages might be a little bit higher. Let's check. Yeah, it's about the same price. So if it does break above this descending triangle, we're gonna, we want to see volume come out, because if we don't see volume off of this break, of this, we call it somewhat descending triangle, then that's not very convincing. Because typically when you have big breaks like that, you also want to see a big volume break as well. Kind of volume getting much higher than it has been. As you can see, we've kind of been trending pretty low, so we're going to want one of these kind of green candle days on this breakout. That's going to be pretty important. Some big day like that out of this breakout, because even if we break above this and we fail to break above the 20 moving average, then, we could just hit that and come back down and then see what it does at that point. But that's kind of what we're looking for it to break above on the daily. So that's, I would say, like intermediate term, since we're looking at the daily chart. Let's look for a couple price points of resistance. So we know the support zone is here. Let's zoom out a little bit. So basically, I would say kind of where this candle is. So 41 to 39, that's a pretty big support zone. It came back here. So if we do break down, we really need it to stay in that zone. If it does break down, if it does go below that, then we could see a significant more amount of selling. But the first resistance point, honestly, is, so we have kind of resistance at this point, but we also have the 20 EMA, so that's like double the resistance. So that's going to be really, really significant. If we can get above both of those, come back and test it. Why is my Drawley being weird? But if we can get out and then come back and break out off of it, skills to the moonable law, we could break out, So that's something we're going to be looking for on the daily. Let's go to the 4 hour to see if we have anything revealing here. Let me get my EMA back. See if we have a 50-day here. Okay. So yeah, on the 4 hour charts are typically like the daily charts, but we're below on the 4 hour too. So very similar story. As you can see, this kind of zone right here is just so important price point, where that red line is that we drew. So that's where the 20 moving average is, basically on the 4-hour and the daily. And we also have a big resistance point. So if it can get out of, see, it's kind of been, you know, besides that breakout, look how long it's been from September. For all of September, it was down there. And now basically for the last 2 weeks or something, it's been in that zone. So it's kind of, you know, the chart's telling us it's kind of been hanging down there and liking that. But if we can break out of that and we break above the 20-day and we come back down, you know, that could signal a breakout. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. If we are able to break out of the 20-day, we do have the 50-day pretty close to that, which is unfortunate. You know, when these moving averages are really close together, it can create a lot of stickiness in the price. You know, it doesn't move a lot unless big volume comes in. So the next major price point resistance we have, so around that 42, 43, and then up at the 43 to 44. And if you guys are in the stream and you haven't subbed yet, please sub to the channel and support it. That would be great. It's help the channel grow. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be looking for. On the hourly, we're testing the 20-day. So see how this 20-day is so important. 20-day is probably one of the most important moving averages to understand momentum. You know, if you're under the 20-day, you typically have negative momentum. And if you're above the 20-day, you typically have positive momentum. And then you can use the 50-day and the 100-day and the 200-day to figure out resistance points. So that's kind of how I'll talk about BABA as well. So that's kind of like a way to think about it. And so same thing, 1 hour, 4 hour daily, we're all stuck below the 20-day. But as I said, we broke above this downward trend line. If we can break above those and we get volume, we could see it push a decent amount higher. So that's all we're gonna do for that because we've already spent a bit of time on there. I don't want to say your name, Mr. Korean Man from earlier. Are you still in here? We'll cover skills next if you're here. If not, we'll go to Marla at Baba. I'll give you a second to respond, and then if not, we will go to Baba. Going once, going twice. Okay, don't think he's here. Yay, hood to 46 this week. That'd be nice, man. That would definitely be nice. So I'm happy that was helpful, William. If you're not a sub to the channel yet, I don't know if you are. If you are, thanks for being a sub. If you're not, if you could sub to the channel, that'd be really awesome. And it looks like Mr. Korean Man's not here anymore, so we are going to do Alibaba next. And then if you come back, we'll cover skills after that, but that's the pecking order since you're not here. So we'll do Alibaba now. Marla, you still here? Let me know if you're here, and I will do Alibaba. Marla, going once, going twice. I don't think my stream's that delayed. Oh, there we go. Cool. Okay, let's go Baba. So I posted a video in chat I did a couple days ago as well, so you can use that as reference as well. But let's go ahead and chart it. Figure out where Baba is going. So I'm long Baba. I've talked about Alibaba quite a bit on the channel. So Marla, if you don't follow yet, please do. We cover it quite a bit in the channel. And we'll continue moving forward. But something for Alibaba I want to do, because this is more of a long-term trade for me personally. Yeah, I think it's a few seconds delayed, like 4 or 5 seconds or something. And I don't know why, because the stream doesn't tell me it's off. Watch out for Chinese stocks. Yeah. But I mean, here's the flip side on that. Watch out for U.S. stocks if there's tension, right? U.S. stocks are essentially at all-time high. Chinese stocks are 60% down, like Alibaba. So, risk reward. Where's the risk and reward there? If there's conflict with China, then there's equal opportunity for the U.S. to be impacted as well, right? But that's just a counter thought to that. But Alibaba, I'm long Alibaba. I'm pretty low in my exposure to it. And the main reason is kind of like, I'm just going to call you Mr. Korea at this point. Mr. Korea said is there's obviously a lot of risk with Chinese stocks right now. For many reasons. Obviously, it's the U.S. China tensions. There's a lot of regulation happening, which Alibaba essentially being a monopoly, kind of similar to Amazon is in the U.S. There's going to be a lot of regulation, and that's going to impact Alibaba. It's going to impact their growth. That's going to impact. They're getting fined, so their stockpile of cash, things like that. So there could be some more impact to Baba. But on the flip side, if anything's going to survive the craziness that's happening, call him Squid Game, if there's anything that's going to survive the craziness in China, it's going to be Alibaba. If there's a company I'm going to put my cards on, it's going to be Alibaba. It's not like one of the biggest companies in the world for no reason. And it's still going to be around. Maybe it'll go down a little bit more, but with the stock down 60%, if it goes down another 20%, it's down 80% or something like that. Like, okay, I'll acquire some shares for the next 5 to 10 years or something. But yeah, we saw this big breakout, and it was mostly because of one, Charlie Munger said he doubled or more than doubled down. He increased his position pretty significantly. That put some positive sentiment around Alibaba. And then also we got news that China and U.S. tensions, they talked about things a little bit more. So there was some positive momentum. The main thing with Alibaba is stocks can't, especially big companies like this, they can't sustain a really rapid increase like this for very long. So typically, like when we speak historically, stocks typically are in a new long-term pattern. When they find somewhat of like a 45-degree angle, that's the best way to put it. And so when you have a company, especially like Alibaba, go up at basically a 75-degree angle, that's not going to last very long because it's not doable for that stock. If the stock did find a bottom, then at some point we're going to need to come back down and kind of create a better angle, kind of like we looked back at the past with that long bull run. We never know if this was a bottom or not. There's a lot of drama, so who knows? We did break above the 20-day, which is obviously a positive I just talked about in the last video. And we're coming up to the 50-day as well as to a trend line. So we're coming up to this trend line. So we're going to have to see if Alibaba can break above that trend line or not. And that will give us a lot of understanding on maybe where the stock could be headed. So the trend line and the 50-day are basically at the same point. And so we'll have to see if it can get above both of those. If it does get above both of those, which is probably around somewhere around 165-ish from here. Let's zoom out to see where we have big boy resistance. So we have pretty significant resistance around, it's fine. So one is 165 to 170 for sure. We know that's a pretty significant place. Actually 160 to 170. When we go back in time, we see all this price action in this range. So that's a pretty important range, at least to hold at minimum. So that's something we're going to be looking for. But if it can break above that 170, then we have pretty big, the next big resistance is at 170 to 180. So those are the two kind of ranges we want to look for. And then let's see where the 100-day is on the daily. Okay, so the 100-day is pretty significantly higher than that, about 183. Probably not getting to that in the short term, so we'll ignore that for now. But these are the short-term price targets I would want to look at. As I mentioned, let's go to the hourly. This is why Alibaba has to pull back at this point. If we go to the hourly chart, we're overbought. And whenever something gets overbought, especially when it does it very violently, we need some kind of pullback. So what we're going to find out is the pullback back to the 20-day around 153, or are we going to break below 153 again, which is the 20-day. And as I mentioned in the last stock we covered, the 20-day tells us momentum. So if we're above the 20-day and we're holding above the 20-day, we have a positive momentum. If we're below the 20-day, this is the moving average when I say 20-day, the 20-day moving average. If we're below it, then we're in a bearish scenario for the stock still. And so we'll have to see, due to the hourly, where it can come back to. If we look on the hourly, we have, I'm going to change these colors because I can't tell which is which. We have the 50-day at 153, and we have the 20-day at 156. So on the hourly, those are a couple prices I'm going to be looking at next week, because we're most likely going to get somewhat of a pullback. Who knows how much? But we have those moving averages. And then we also have the pretty big support. I mean, I don't make this shit up, guys. You see these really big points right here? This range right here, that's 153. We went to the daily. The 20 days at 153. So 153 is going to be really, really important for the stock to hold if it does pull back, which it most likely is going to at this point. So that's what we want to look short term for the stock. Long term, it's pretty hard to figure out what these stocks are doing. On the weekly time frame, which is really long term, we're still pretty significantly away from the 20-day. So as I said, we do need a little bit of pullback here. So if this stock pulls back to around 153 and moves higher, we could see it come up and try to challenge this 20-day as it accelerates lower on the weekly chart. So as this comes down, you know, it's going to keep decelerating to the downside. So assuming in a couple weeks, this could be to maybe the 160 to the 170 range. So we could see the stock come and test the 20-day on the weekly chart. And if we can break above the 20-day on the weekly chart, that's extremely bullish. And if we can hold above the 20-day on the weekly chart, that would be really, really bullish. So those are some price points to look at for BABA. Long term, it's really hard to know because there's just so much drama going on with the stock and the country. Okay, Mr. Korea. Also, do you have another name? Because I feel a little ignorant calling you that. But if you're still here, we can cover skills, SKLZ. And if anybody else is in the chat, what other stocks, if Mr. Korea is no longer here, please let me know. And if you're here and you're not a sub, please sub to the channel and support it. That'd be very helpful, very awesome of you. We're trying to get to 500 subs, and we're almost there. So please help the channel get there. I don't make no money off this, so I'm just doing it to hang with you guys, and hopefully we can all make money together. Mr. Korea, you here? Anybody else in the chat? Any other stocks you have questions on? Just writing down what stocks we covered so I can add it to the description. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. Well, while nobody says anything, let's go ahead and look at the overall stock market, because that's pretty important for all of us to keep an eye on. So we'll have to, because obviously if the stock keeps breaking down, what about Facebook? You know, ironically speaking, I just did a video on Facebook too. I don't know, Marla, if you're a sub or not. Naval, what up, man? Welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming by. Yeah, we can definitely cover Facebook. And I also just did a video on them as well, but we can definitely cover them. And also, Marley, you like all the controversial stocks at this point. BABA and Facebook. Those are like two of the riskiest stocks just due to the news that's going around them. And I'm curious, let me know who of you are subscribers. I don't know who are subscribers on my channel because some of y'all don't leave comments very often. But let me know if you are subs or not in the chat. I'm really curious. I don't know who subs to my channel and so please let me know. Okay, so let's go big picture first because I did see some things pop up here. So the first big thing on the weekly chart, too big. I would say we're getting close to a pivot point for Facebook, whether we might have a little bit more downside or we're at the downside. And the reasons I bring that up is on the weekly chart, we're getting close to breaking under. Thanks, Marla. I appreciate it. Thanks for subbing. But we're getting close to breaking below the support zone on RSI on the weekly chart. So this is really big picture. We're getting close. We're starting to hit that kind of support range we see. So on the biggest pullbacks that were, new sub. Nice, Naval. Appreciate it. So at the lowest point, Facebook has pulled back to 42 on the RSI in a pullback. We see this back to 2017. We've pulled back to 45 and then 50. So those are the key points we're looking at on RSI on the weekly chart to determine if is the bull run over for Facebook or are we just having a healthy pullback. When we look at the stock has been on an absolute rampage. Let me get the price range. Since the COVID lows, the stock is up 180%. Like obviously the stock needs to come back and there really hasn't been too many significant pullbacks since that run. So this is basically the biggest pullback Facebook has had in essentially 2 years. But we're at a pivot point and we'll have to decide, is there much more downside or are we basically at the, I would say 5% from the downside. And so on the weekly, we're coming up to the 50-day. So we're below the 20-day, but we're still above the 50-day. And I believe if I go to the weekly chart, so that's at 315. If we go to the daily chart, I believe the 200-day actually is at 315. 323, pretty close. So that's an area, actually that's the EMA. Let me bring up the SMA real quick. Because I showed this in my video the other day, but the 200 moving average is at 315. So remember that on the weekly, the 50 EMA is at 315. On the daily, the 200-day simple moving average is at 315. So 315, if we do have a pullback, is a very, very important price to keep an eye on. On the weekly, let's see where the 100-day is just for the heck of it. Okay, it's a pretty bit lower. So that's back at this support zone. So it kind of feels and it seems like if we break below that 315, which is really important support, we could come back to the 100-day on the weekly chart, which is at 280. So 315, if we break below 315, 300 to 380 is a range we're looking for. But 315, remember that price if you're a Facebook, if you're looking to get into the stock or if you already own the stock. I would say Facebook is a long-term hold. That's what I would call it. And any of these really big dips are honestly buying opportunities for this stock. I work in digital advertising on my 9 to 5, and I deal with Facebook ads every day. And all this drama that's going on with Facebook about people like, oh, whistleblowers, blah, blah, blah. Companies are dependent on Facebook for their companies to succeed. We're now in a time where companies use digital advertising to grow and scale their business. And Facebook is at least 50%, if not more, of businesses' digital advertising spend, and that's not changing anytime soon. Unless something way crazy happens where their ad platform is shut down or something, unless something like that happens, companies will continue to rely on Facebook to grow their e-commerce and retail businesses, and it's not changing anytime soon. So in the long term, 3 to 5 years, unless we have a stock market crash, Facebook is a good bet because they're a great stock. And I've talked about this on the podcast I do with my buddy. We actually do it tonight. So Friday nights at 7:30 p.m. West Coast time. So if you're on the West Coast, 7:30, or actually 7 o'clock is when we're starting it tonight in a half an hour. Come hang around. and go to that. Come to my Discord. Let me bring a couple things here real quick for those. Are you guys, the people here, are you in the Discord yet? If you're not in the Discord, join that, because there's a ton of updates all the time that you guys need to shoot. For all of you guys, let me get this invite link for anybody wanting to join that. So first off, anybody here, please join the Discord. And the second thing is Twitch. So me and my buddy do a live stream where we talk about the stock market, kind of macro, what's going on. We also talk about real estate as well. But we have our no as in you're not a part of it, or no as forget you. But anyway, regardless of what that was, go check out both of those. We'll be streaming tonight at 7 p.m. So come to that if you're here as well. But yeah, Facebook, I like it long term. Let's get back to the charts because I already plugged all that stuff. So we're kind of hitting a trend line here, so that's important to watch for. You know, here, are we going to break lower, or are we going to break above this? So this is something I will definitely be keeping an eye on. Let me draw two of them here. It seems like we kind of have two different trend lines. We've already kind of broken above that one, but we have the secondary one. But these are things I'm looking at. I'm not a part of it. Gotcha. Well, I got the links in there for you. You can join it and come to the stream later tonight as well on Twitch. But yeah, so I personally think there might be a little bit more downside here. Unless the QQQs break up violently in the next couple of weeks, then maybe Facebook will rally with the NASDAQ. But we kind of have just sideways price action. Any buying that's happened has been sold off in the last 2 days, which typically is not a bullish sign. When you have, you know, when you have the candle come big red like that, that's typically not a good sign. As you can see, the big red candles with small wicks typically lead to more downside. When you have big wicks on candles, that typically is showing maybe a bottoming pattern. Kind of like these green ones, you know, we thought maybe we're bottoming, but then we got this big red one, and we got this indecision candle. Thanks, Naval. Welcome to the Discord. So those are things I'm looking at. Let's bring up the 20 EMA. I think we're pretty far from the 20 EMA at this point, yeah. And something to look at with these moving averages as well. When you have really violent price actions like this, when you have moving averages at such steep angles, typically that coincides with stocks coming lower. When you start to see them level out, that typically shows, okay, maybe we're in kind of a bottoming part. But a lot of times when they're having these really steep decelerations, it typically means the stock's headed lower. Not always, but there's a really big correlation there. So that's the daily chart. Let's look at the hourly we're at. So hourly, same thing. Kind of like I said, indecision here as we've been gone sideways. I would say on the hourly, let's see what the 4 hour looks like. Looks worse. But we'll see. If this breaks above 50, then that's bullish. We might be a bottom here. If we break below, obviously more downside. So look at RSI on the hourly, and that's how you can play a trade. I'm personally waiting to buy. I'm not your financial advisor, but I'm personally waiting to buy on this. There's a lot of gaps here, which, you know, might be filled at some point, but I could see a little bit more downside. I don't think we've gotten all that Facebook is ready to give us to the downside. I would like a 200-day test, as I was saying on the daily candle, around 315. That's kind of a price I'm looking at as a place to buy in at. But yeah, those are some things to look at. In terms of prices, you know, if we get above this 335, we could see a gap up to 341. And then if we get above 345, we could potentially see another gap fill up to 353. So those are some price points to keep an eye on as we're moving forward with the stock. But obviously on the downside, if we break below this 329, then that could, you know, cause us to go back to 323, if not 315. So those are some prices to look at. We'll do 1 or 2 more stocks because I need to take a little break before I start the live stream on the Twitch, which is Twitch/Stock Talk Game. We play video games and talk about the stock market. Fun thing we do, me and my buddy. Any other stocks you guys have questions on? Please let me know. We'll do 1 or 2 more. Also curious how your guys' weeks are. How is everyone's week in the chat? Oh yeah, no problem, Marla. Hope you got something helpful in those technical analysis. So something will help you make a good trade or a good investment, whether it's short term or long term. Not sure your angle, but hopefully something helpful there. All in on Baba. How much all in? Are you the one that were putting comments? I know someone in the comments put like all in on Baba. Was that you? That's it, lol. Do you have any free powder on the side? Like any cash? NASCAR. What's up, NASCAR? How'd you hear about the stream? NASCAR, are you a sub? Curious. Okay, we'll make this the last one. I don't know what this stock is, so I'm gonna look at it real quick. Is it Huddy or Huddell? Is it an L or an I? I don't think I'm familiar with this stock. Like 100K of free powder or in the stock? If you're 100K into that stock, you a savage, bruh. Well, let me see what comes up on the chart. Does this look right to you, NASCAR? I don't know if it does. And then NASCAR, is it I as in island? Gotcha. Let me see what they are and what they do, because I don't know what this company does. Let me see if I can get a FinViz thing going here to tell me what the stock is. Or if you want to say it in the chat, that also works. Huddy. Huddy is manufacturer, sell stainless steel. Stop it. Mr. FinViz. Stainless steel pipes and tubes. Oh, a Chinese stock. Okay. Halted twice today. It's using oil, gas. Okay. Process medical. Okay. So just a materials and production. Or not a production, but a can't think of the word I'm thinking of. Okay, so the reason they're moving so violently is just their float. So this is a high risk, high reward. I don't know if they've had any news recently that caused them to spike or if it was just volume. I personally am not playing these stocks, these really low cap Chinese stocks personally. But if you are playing it, we can definitely find some important price points. So, man, they're so low volume. Let's see what the volume was today. Yep, definitely halted. We had 1 million volume. Is that it? Okay. And 4 million shares, I think, are free, is what FinViz said. Yeah. Share float is 3 million. So, a third of the float traded today, and I think that's why there was some halting. I'm assuming they were in like waves. Yeah, exactly. In waves, and that's what caused the halting. That makes total sense. But it looks like, I mean, pretty clearly this is an important price to break above. If it can break above that 350 to 355 or 450 to 455, you could go higher. But the main thing with these small stocks is these are mostly just algorithm based. So the algorithms plus, you know, retail traders like us, the algorithms see a volume spike, and then the algorithms start purchasing it. And the same thing with retail traders who have maybe screeners and such. We see a volume pop up, and then the stock is put on our radar, or we see it on stock twits or something random like that. And so really with any breakout, you're going to need volume, because these are the kind of stocks that like to really take your money, is the best way I would put it. As you can see, it has these really quick moves. So like, in the past, it went from 450 to 650 in, that's multiple days actually, in a couple days, but that wasn't big volume. But yeah, I would just look for volume. So I think that's the only reason it halted, is just volume. It got picked up online somewhere. I didn't see any news on FinViz. I don't know if you have any news anywhere, but I didn't see any news on FinViz. The only thing is being cautious about it. Don't really know what that means in that article. But yeah, it's just kind of a pump and I guess a pump and dump play. People buy it because it's low flow, and then they sell it once they make some good money on it. So just be careful. That'd be my advice on that stock. Be very careful. And it's hard to put stop losses on that stock because it's going to move pretty violent because of the short float. So just be really cautious. But as I said, if it can get back above 450, that could be pretty important. And if it can hold above 450, you know, at worst, it's going to go sideways. At best, you might get a little bit more pop. Okay, and then we'll do one more because I saw you put it in the chat, which was VLCA. Or VLCN. Oh, very recent IPO. Okay. I gotta look up what this is because I don't know what this company is. It's not even showing on FinViz yet. What is the stock, by the way? Oh, they're in Austin. Interesting. Round Rock. American Build Off-Road Vehicle Motorcycles. Electric vehicle startup. So electric motorcycles. Gotcha. We're not going to have a ton of info on them, are we? Oops. Yeah, we don't really have. So they have no revenue yet? Is that what's going on? Okay. I mean, there's nothing really to go off this. We can look at technically speaking. Because I don't even know the short. I don't even know the float or anything. I'd have to look up an article for that. So we had a trend line going here and we broke below it. So I would say first red flag-ish type thing. That's my city. Oh, nice. You live in Austin? I'm in Austin. Not in Round Rock, but I'm in Austin. So yeah, it broke below this trend line. This is a recent IPO. I'm assuming they don't have that many shares, honestly. Let me see if I can find anything about this. So IPO's at 550. Oh, I didn't have the graph up for you on this. I forget that I have to switch the screens around. I was talking about it. But we broke below this trend line, and now we're kind of going sideways. So we'll have to see. And we'll put some price points in a second. But IPO at 550. What was it at now? It's now at 9. Oh, so it's already up 100% from its IPO price. Okay, that's a pretty big pump already. Oh, nice. Oh, the Weebles. Nice. I mean, that's a nice freaking what is that, 150% move or something? 130% gain? Not too bad. I'm trying to see how many shares they have. Obviously have an idea of what they do. Excuse me. Let's see if we can find. Oh, here we go. Let's see. I was for generate proceeds of 11. Okay, blah, blah, blah. But how many shares? I guess I could do the math there, but I guess 8,000 for a motorcycle. I don't know if that's expensive or not. I don't know enough about the space. But technically, because that's all I can really go off this, technically speaking, if you want to buy back into this, oh man, it's just so, the volume is so low. It's hard to read the tape. Only 11 million shares. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know what their, did it say a valuation on here? Month plans about 5 million in the IPO proceeds. Okay. Do you know what their market cap is right now? I'm not seeing a market cap on these articles. But yeah, I mean, you're just going to want volume, so keep an eye out on volume. Obviously, it's dropped off pretty significantly from the IPO. So obviously, it's low float, 11 million's not much. You know, these new IPOs get hyped so easily and so quickly. So as a buy, I mean, it needs to stay above, I would say $8 from here. But I don't know if I'd buy it at 9 because that's a $1 drop already. But looks like we have a decent amount of support around 885. So stay above 885. 100. Oh, that's really small market cap. I don't think they have any revenue yet either, but we're below the 20 EMA, so I would say keep an eye on that. If we can get above the 20 EMA and get back above this trend line, then we could see some more bullish action here. So those are a couple things to look for, but if you want to get back into this trade, 885 to 880 is a range I want to be looking at it to hold. And then I'm going to do 15-minute here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that range is what I want to hold. I need it to hold here. And then if not, $8. So those are some short-term price points. It's below the EMAs, like I said, below the 20s, which it needs to get back above those. So that's something I'd be looking for in the trend line. But that's all I really have for you on that one. Not much to read just because it's so early into the stock. So we might have kind of a trend line here. I don't know. We can try to make something up. But definitely keep an eye on it. It seems like they can get some volume love. And this could definitely, you know, move higher, but it's the second lowest volume day, so we're going to want to see that volume pop back up. Yeah, if we can pop back up to the 50K range, what would that be? Yeah, if we can pop back up to the 2 to 3 million range to the buy side, you could definitely see some more positive price action. These big red candles are not encouraging because people bought it and then sold it right back off. So, but we're kind of in this range between 10 and 8. So we'll see moving forward. But good play, man. Good play. And I know a few people that have been making some good money off those IPO plays, both on Robinhood and Webull. So that's awesome. But thanks for coming by, guys. I really appreciate it. Everyone who came by. If you're here and you haven't subbed, please do. If you've already subbed, then I really appreciate it. Tell your friends. Trying to get the channel to 1,000 subs, hopefully by December 1st now. At first it was by the end of November, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys. I'm going to be jumping onto a live stream on Twitch in about 20 minutes. So go check that out. I put the link earlier. It's twitch.com/stock-talk-game. So I'll be on there in about 20 minutes. We talk about the stock market there as well, but more macro. And I'm doing this every Friday now. So around 7:30 my time, which is Central Time, I'll be doing this every Friday now, and hopefully we can keep keep jumping on together and hopefully making some money together. But thanks, NASCAR. Thank everybody else. Naval, if you're still here, thanks for popping on. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good weekend.